Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Orange Life. Thanks for tuning in. This is Deanna. Thank you to any new subscribers that have came along since my last video. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Deanna. I'm a psych nurse. I've been one for over 20 years. I've worked with all age groups from children all the way up to adults. And here on my channel, what we do is we look at viral stories or different situations. And on this channel, we don't talk about what people do, but why they do it and what makes sense. Because sometimes, things look simple, on the outside, but there's many layers to it. So you see the thumbnail. We're going to talk about Ashanti and with her and Nelly and this new reality show. And let's talk a little bit about Ashanti because Nelly is not really a mystery to anybody if you know who Nelly is, and if you're into, rap music or black culture, Nelly is known for I guess his most famous song is Hot in Here, and he had Country Grammar. So, Nelly had some hit songs back in the day. And for those of us who know the history of Nelly and Ashanti, we know that they dated, years ago, and they dated for 10 years. And during that time, there was no engagement, there weren't any children between the two of them. And Nelly has been known to, deal with a lot of women. He cheated on Ashanti, and this is what goes on. Now, Ashanti was known as the hip hop princess years ago when she was with Murder Inc. with Irv Gotti, and Ashanti had a lot of hits. Ashanti also had got received a Grammy during her time with Murder Inc. Now, there was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes with Ashanti, and these things are alleged. I don't know what was definitely done or not, but apparently, there was some sabotage done to her career. So she wasn't able to go higher than what she did. Now, having said that, Ashanti has, before getting back with Nelly, she's been in the background doing shows here and there. She's been, having, her Instagram photos, she's done little things to, keep her name out there, but not nothing too big. Now, recently, her and Nelly started seeing each other again, and this apparently started after Versus, when Versus came out during, 2020, when everybody was on a lockdown, and, Versus came out, which became very popular. And, Nelly was a part of Versus, Ashanti was a part of Versus, so they ran into each other. And I'm sure they've seen each other prior to that, but just not so publicly. Now, this is what I believe. I believe that when Nelly and Ashanti's was, on stage, and I believe that they, did something on stage, or either they saw each other, more publicly, people and fans were saying, "Oh, look at the chemistry between them." Aunt Shanti looks good. Nelly made a comment about Ashanti looking good and things like that. Now, what I believe, now I could be wrong, this is just my opinion. I believe when Nelly and his team and Ashanti and her team saw what the public was saying, that I believe behind the scenes they said, "How about we put you guys together to start dating again and see what comes out of it?" Because I have some knowledge of what happens in the entertainment world when it comes to celebrity couples. I have some insight about that. And I know that these things are done to generate money, labels and different camps. They do stuff like this to create brands, to generate more money for the individuals and their management teams and, producers and, people who invest money into these people. So I believe that they were put together after seeing what the public said. So, and I'm not saying they don't have some sort of love for each other. They did have a relationship for a long period of time. Now, fast forward. It's very coincidental how when Ashanti and Nelly get together and they get married and here's this baby, here comes a reality show. So I find that very coincidental that a reality show comes out of all of this. So now this reality show is out. And now we're seeing what really goes on. So we're seeing that Nelly is basically living his best life. He doesn't seem to be phased by anything that's going on and he's enjoying himself. And now we're seeing that Ashanti doesn't appear to be as happy as we would think she would be, because Ashanti is of a certain age. She's 40 or maybe a little over, maybe 41. She's having her first child, and she's having her first, well, I don't think Nelly was ever married, but she's having, she's getting married. So you would think that this would be a Cinderella story and it would be, a dream for her, and she would be having the time of her life. But as we can see, it's unfolding on this show that it's not as happy as everyone thinks it is. You can see the disappointment in Ashanti's face when it comes to navigating with the baby, when it comes to Nelly performing at the Republican convention, and just the things that Nelly has been doing since they've been together and gotten married. For example, Nelly being arrested with having some substances, and Ashanti is pregnant at the time and had to go bail him out. So, and here she's what, almost 9 months pregnant at this time when this occurs. And also, there are cheating allegations. So, we don't know if it's true or not, but this is what's going on. Now, let's talk about Ashanti a little bit. What I see, this is what I see, and this is from my experience as a psych nurse and also as a woman. What I believe with Ashanti is that Ashanti is getting older. She was not married and no children. There's a lot of societal and personal pressures on women who are unmarried and don't have children by a certain age. And it's even worse if you're a celebrity. And I'm sure Ashanti has heard many times, oh, a woman that looks as good as you, why aren't you married? Why you don't have any children? Because this is a societal expectation of women. Now, Ashanti and Nelly were together for 10 years prior, and there was no engagement and no marriage. So Ashanti felt as though that she thought anyway, or she thinks that her marrying him now and having a baby, that things may change. But Nelly is the same person he was when y'all were together, when they were together before. So there's not going to be a change. That's what Ashanti's not understanding. Also, with Ashanti, she believes, like many women in her position, the Cardi B's, the Halle Baileys, the Kiki Palmers, that because you're a celebrity woman, that you're better than these other women. You're better than the IG model these men mess with. You're better than, the OnlyFans girl they mess with. You think that you're better than them because you're a celebrity woman. And in many cases, these men will still treat you the same as they treat every other woman. There's no change. But these women, for some reason, think that they're better, or he's not going to treat me like that because I'm Ashanti, or I'm Cardi B, or I'm Halle Bailey. When in reality, these men will still treat you the same, because these type of men will always do that. Men with money, especially men with money and status, or has any sort of popularity to them, they're going to always do this because these men know that there's always going to be a woman that will be there. So they're not worried about it. They'll just get another woman. These men are not concerned on having intimate relationships. And when I say intimate, I don't mean sexual. I mean intimacy as far as emotional intimacy. They don't care about none of that. They know that they can get another woman, they can get one younger, or whatever. I truly believe, this is what I believe, from Nelly's side of things, Nelly saw this as an opportunity to revive his career, because he's really hasn't been on anything or done anything really since the Husbands of Hollywood, if you want to be honest. And this is a chance for him to make more money. This is a chance for him to have more visibility, because when it comes to the celebrity world, these people thrive off of vanity. And because they do that, every chance they get to be in the public eye, that's what they're going to do. That's why you have celebrities like Kevin Hart, who's around Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat has the views of the younger generation. These, Snoop Dogg went over there to Kai Cenat. They want to stay relevant. They want all eyes on them. That's a part of being a celebrity. The vanity of it all, the fame of it all. So I think that Nelly agreed to all this because of the fact that that's going to put him in the limelight. He's going to be seen, the vanity, look at me, more women, more exposure. This is what, is going on with him. Whereas Ashanti, she wants what a lot of women want. They want their happily ever after. They want their Prince Charming. They want the baby. They want the fairy tale life. But the fairy tale life actually doesn't exist. Now, can you have a good life with a man? You can. But it takes a lot of work to get that. It's not going to just drop in your lap. And that work has to come from mostly the woman. And when I say come from the woman, women have to do better. They do. They have to stop being pick me's, because as long as women accept bad behavior, these men are going to always continue to act the way that they do. It's not going to change. It's just not until women change. Now, we do have a lot more women today who are stepping back and saying, listen, I'm not accepting this bad behavior anymore. I'm not accepting, narcissistic men, selfish men, violent men, you know, um, men, insecure men, intimidating men. They're stopping with this, dealing with these men with some behaviors. But it's not enough men. That's what it is. It's, I mean, not enough men. It's not enough women doing that. So these men are always going to find, these women. And Nelly is not going to treat Ashanti any differently. He has other children by other women. That's why he made the comment about, he don't, deal with the children till they're, walking and potty trained, because he never did. He doesn't have to. He told her she can have all the nannies she want, but that's not what Ashanti wants. She wants that family bond, and she's not going to get that from him. Now, what I see Ashanti doing as a result of this, she's going to hang in there for as long as she can, because one thing about women, they don't want to let go of the dream. They don't. They don't want to let go of it, and they when they finally let go of it, it's a thing where they have to do it because they have no choice. So Ashanti is not going to let go of Nelly no time soon. She This is something that she wanted. She knows Nelly. She knows what he's about. And I believe Nelly said in the episode, I told you I wasn't going to do this. And, just the things that he says, like even with the proposal, he said, yeah, they were in the bed and they just got finished doing it. Like, just all of it, knowing that Ashanti knows that she wants more, but she wound up settling. And what it is that Ashanti feels as though she was running out of time. So she figured, if this is what I'm going to get, then I'm just going to take what I can get. But what's going to happen is she's going to wind up suffering in silence like a lot of other women. She's going to put on the smile. She's going to act like, oh, it'll get better. Oh, we're going to talk about it and work it out. Like all the things that women say in public to try to save face. But when the cameras go away and, it's time to go to sleep, it's a different ball game. And as women, we know that it's many women that get on these social media airways, and even not just on social media but even to their friends and family, and pretend that life is so great with the men that they're with, but in reality they're suffering in silence because they don't want to give up that image, or they don't want to give up that man, or they don't want to be alone, or they don't want to have people tell them we told you so. They don't want any of that. So what women will do is they will suffer in silence, and that's what Ashanti's about to do. She's not happy in this relationship, and it's not going to get any better. And the only way that Ashanti will wind up leaving Nelly is with public embarrassment. She's not going to do it any other way. If y'all remember, if you can think back, Ti said the same thing to Tiny when it came out about him cheating. I forgot what the allegation was, and he said on social media, he said to her, either it was either on their show or it was on social media. He said if it wasn't public, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't be saying nothing. You worried about what people think. And where is Tiny? Still with him. She's not going nowhere, no matter who he cheats with. Because the word on the street is, I don't know if this is true or not, because, with the Diddy stuff that was going on, there was some sort of rumor that he was messing around with some girl that worked at Popeyes and that Tiny went through the drive through and threatened the girl. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the word on the streets. I don't know if that's true. But I heard some rumblings about that, and it could have been fake news, but it doesn't surprise me because T.I.'s been cheating on Tiny for years. So, outside children, everything else. So, because Tiny's another one of those women. They're not giving up, the man. And, it's other people that I can name. I'm just not going to do that because I just, I don't feel like people coming in my comments because some of these people, they know that their men are cheating, but they don't want to give up, the status and they suffer in silence. Like Kevin Hart's wife. How many times has he cheated on her and publicly embarrassed her? And it's not changing. The only thing that Kevin Hart probably did is he probably got better with it. Signed some NDAs and keeping this stuff out of the media. He's getting smarter. These men don't stop doing what they're doing. They just get smarter. That's all they do. They just learn to move better. So, that's all I was going to say about Ashanti and Nelly. I feel bad for Ashanti, as a woman, because this is her first child. She got married. And I know what that feels like. Because, when I married my first husband and we had our children, you want the fairy tale, but the fairy tale doesn't exist. That's the problem. The fairy tale does not exist. And I'm not saying you can't have a good marriage. What I'm saying is that the fairy tale doesn't exist. And she's going to be in for a lot of hurt that we're not going to see because she's not getting what she wants. This is her first child. She wants Nelly to be more supportive, to be more, loving, to be more, for them to have more intimate moments as parents. And she's not getting that. And he's probably not even paying her no mind, in all honesty, because that's how he treats her. They had a one little there was a TikTok I think that they put up, and he was singing that song, The Boots on the Ground, but instead of saying where them fans at, he said where that ass at, and just smacking her on her butt, and just and it may have been playful, yes, but to be newly married, you can't be a little bit more respectful. I think that's something that didn't have to be on camera. You know what I mean? I mean, I know it was playful, and I think if they were married, say 5 years, that would have been cute. But you're like newly married. She recently had a baby. She's still trying to get her original body back. The baby's young. She's breastfeeding. It's like, it's a very vulnerable time. And, Nelly is not giving her the support she needs. So, and it's very clear he's not. But again, Ashanti knew what she was getting into. I'm gonna tell you that now. She knew. She knows what he's like because he hasn't changed. So she knows what she was getting into, but she thought because okay, they're older now and it's her, she's better than the other women and this and that, because because I think if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a couple maybe some tweets made about the ex-girlfriend, Nelly's ex-girlfriend, and how someone says something about that she was the loser. I don't see it as her being a loser because Ashanti's the one that is going to be sitting at home in the quiet while Nelly's out doing God knows what, you know, dealing with their baby and he's not around being supportive at all or even excited about the whole ordeal. He's not excited. He wasn't excited about the wedding, the marriage. He wasn't excited about that. It was just like, something to do for him, the way that I see it. But I'm going to close out this video now because I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on it. I just wanted to get on here and talk about that. I wish Ashanti the best. I, hope, everything, changes for her. And if it doesn't, I hope she gets out in enough time to, keep her sanity because, nobody wants to be with a man that you're not getting the love and attention and the validation and the emotional support that you need, especially when you have your first child. because this baby's young and it's already rocky. You could just see it. You could just see that it's just not going to get any better, and they're newly married with a new baby. So I hope things get better. I really do. But knowing what I know, being in this business and knowing human behavior, it's not. It's not. But I hope it does. I'll say that because anything is possible. Miracles do happen. So I'm going to close this video out. You guys have a good one, and I'll be back with another one.